Welcome back to Meet the Mets fans. It's in episode 36, man. Things are going well for us here on the podcast. Met fans, you have added so much to our fellowship over the course of the last episode, from episode 35 to now. We've actually gained a ton of followers thanks to that Colin Cosell interview. I'm super
Awesome.
excited to be here with Met fans. Justin, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Colin Cosell, that was such a great interview. That guy was awesome. I'm excited to hear him going to the game on Thursday, so I'm excited to hear his voice filling up that stadium as he's kind of described it. And so we're in a good place over here. And as a Met fan, okay, I think the beginning of this week starting up, we were a little it was a little shaky, but I think by this past Sunday, Met fans are feeling pretty good about where the team is at, and we're ready to come home.
Totally. So we got some big news, Justin. Why don't you start us off? Let's jump right into this. You know us, when we
Yeah.
start an episode, we think we're going to go for 20, 30 minutes, and we end up going an hour. So let's rock.
Yeah, no doubt. So, like, the big news is that your background looks like my background right now. Like, what the heck is going on, Stefan, right? Like, what do you think? You're going to get past us on all of this? What are you doing? Are you, like, a business center or something? Like,
Yeah,
what's
man.
happening here?
So unfortunately, there was a funeral that my family has to attend. We're in Maryland right now. So yesterday we got on the road, we drove. I got to watch the Mets game in the car,
Oh, nice.
kind of keep track what was going on. And then right now we're staying at a hotel in Maryland. I figured it was appropriate to wear the Pete Alonso New York Mets jersey while in Maryland. So here I am, Pete Alonso, repping. I feel like that's appropriate. So I'm here. I'm in this hotel. It's a Hilton Home Suites, which is like sick. It's got like a full apartment that we're in upstairs. And I came in and I asked the place if there's like a spot where I can have a quiet space. 6 o'clock in the morning right now on a Sunday. Sorry, on a Monday. And I was like, I just need a spot. And they were like, yeah, man, no one's gonna be in the business suite over here. You can go and use it.
Yeah, no, very important business call we need to be taking, right, from Meet the Mets Fans podcast. So I hear you. The guy's like, dude, are you walking down in a Mets jersey and a backwards hat? You asked for an important phone call? Like, are you serious right now? I love that.
Yeah.
But it is
He's got a
big, and so
tripod. He's ready to go.
yeah, it is big, and Met fans, what we got going on. So let's dive into the week that was. We got to start with some scary stuff. The Juan Soto injury. If you haven't listened or you haven't heard, Juan Soto left the game on Friday with a mild calf strain. He essentially what is happening during that play was. Lindor leads off with a base hit. Soto follows with a hit, and then Bichette, I believe it was Bichette, gets a base hit, and he's trying to now go first to third. And as he's rounding second base, it looks like he kind of like stops running, or he kind of hesitates a little
He
bit.
slows up.
Yeah, he slows up for sure, and he gets into third base, and essentially as he's standing on third base, he feels his calf kind of tighten up on him. He went for imaging, and essentially what took place was that he said it's a minor calf strain, which is really good news, right? That's the best case scenario if you're talking about this type of injury. Essentially what the Mets are saying, Mendoza said that they're going to keep him off his feet for a couple of days. No running, obviously. He wasn't in the lineup Saturday or Sunday. They're going to come home on Monday, so they'll reassess it on Tuesday and see how he's doing. By Tuesday, if he's not unable to play, I think they're going to put him on the IL, though, which will be retroactive, right, from the day of the injury, so it'll be from next Saturday. And so, in terms of like where we're at with Soto, it's a scary, obviously, situation with that. Calves are tricky. They can constantly kind of pop up. You think you're good, and then all of a sudden you try to like do some activities, and then it's still painful. So I guess we'll see what's going on. Mendoza said on Sunday that the way that Soto was moving around was promising, the way that he was just kind of walking, pacing, his attitude. And so hopefully it's not a major injury. Even if he has to go on the IL, let's make sure that he is healthy, because we don't need this injury lingering.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I was going to say. Can't have this lingering around. Can't have this jumping back up throughout the season in May, June, July.
Yeah.
So get it taken care of right now. The Mets have picked Juan Soto up in a big way since that injury, and we'll get into it when we talk Giants recap. But the Mets right now are firing on all cylinders without Juan Soto. This is the time where if he needs to kind of take it easy, that's the appropriate thing to do. The next day, Juan actually said, like, I'm surprised by the imaging and what came out in the imaging because I feel great. like he's like, I'm ready to go. So,
Yeah.
hopefully he gets back on Tuesday. Hopefully they have him like, do some full running sprints to
Yeah.
test that thing out. And we'll see, hopefully see him back in the lineup come Tuesday's game. So we're gonna, Met fans, we are a week away from our last episode, right? Quite a bit more than that because we had the Colin Cosell into the interview in between. And we wanted to give that its full attention. So we're gonna start with a recap of this Cardinals series and then jump into the Giants series. Any more big news we got to get to, Justin?
We had Brett Baty got scratched on Sunday. He jammed his finger on Saturday, sliding into second base. They're downplaying it, no imaging at all. So I think he'll be back in the lineup when we come back for the homestand. And then the last big thing news is we got trolled pretty hard on April Fool's Day, on the 1st of April. One of our colleagues, man, this guy, David. All right, so I gotta say, this guy, he's a huge Yankee fan. All right, I will give him props for that. Like, I'm not trying to dismiss his fandom at all. Obviously, we got our logo for Meet the Mets Fans podcast, and this guy then decided to spend way too much money. He told me the story that his wife was shocked by how much he spent and was then annoyed and pissed off. And he made, and for our listening only audience, yeah, it's our logo. It says Meet the Yankees Fans. Very cute. But I'll say that if we're getting trolled, Stefan, I think we made it, right? I think that's like where we're at right now.
Hey man, people know how much this means to you and I think that's a good thing. David, that was quite an April Fool's gift. I don't think I would ever go that far to troll someone on April Fool's Day to put something like this together. I particularly like the mention of the rings on Sid's T-shirt over here. So he kept me, you, and Sid in the image and just replace the
Right.
jerseys with Yankee stuff. Very funny, but yes, I can see why his wife would be annoyed that he is spending that much time and effort on trolling a Mets podcast when he claims to be such a Yankees fan.
Yeah, his wife's like, "Who are these guys? Like, what are you talking about? And why are you spending money on this right now?" So
These are
nice
high
job by
quality
him.
stickers. They're like stickers. So
Nah,
I
yeah,
walked into my office
they're pretty good.
on what is that now? Wednesday morning. I
Wednesday.
walked into my
Wednesday.
office and these are stuck all over the door. And there's a bunch of people that were there for a meeting in my office. They all had them. A bunch of the staff members were walking around the school building with these things on and
Very
around
smart.
themselves. And, I was a good sport about it. I was a good sport about it. And there were definitely some of our friends who've been on this podcast, who supported this podcast, that were like, I'm not wearing that. I'm
Away.
absolutely not putting that anywhere near me.
So nice job by him. But let's get into the real stuff here, Stefan. So we're gonna start with the Cardinal series. So we're going right back to a week ago, last Monday. We had a 3-game series. There was no day off, right? So we had our weekend series against Pittsburgh. Then we flew to St. Louis, and so we had a game Monday. Overall, the series was a disappointing series. Obviously, we lost 2 of 3 in that series, despite us taking the series opener where the Mets won 4-2, which, the Mets looked pretty good in that game. That was a Devin Williams had a save in that game. Pitching was solid. We're going to get to it with Clay Holmes. Overall, that game was a solid game. We come off of that victory after a bad loss on Sunday to Pittsburgh. And so I feel like, we're in a good place as a team. And then the next 2 games, right, from Met fans, okay, were dreadful to watch. Like, honestly, it was woeful. Specifically the offense. If we take a look back on that series, that was a series in which, that Wednesday game that we're talking about, or that Wednesday day we were just talking about, that was the game in which the Mets had runners on second base in the 9th, 10th inning, going to extra innings, and the Mets scored 0 runs in all 3 of those innings. And I know this seems weird, but that 9th inning was when Polanco hits that double to lead off. Again, we have a runner on second base, no out, and then the 10th and 11th were the Manfred rule, where we have, again, a runner on second base, no out, and the Mets cannot even scratch away 1 run. I am watching these games. I'm furious. It was shocking how bad it was and how bad the offense was. Uh, you know,
Justin, real quick, this is exactly the type of offense we thought we weren't going to have anymore. This
I
is the
know.
offense that's supposed to put the bat on the ball and move runners along and keep the line going. And you would think with a runner on second base and less than 2 outs, the Mets are going to score a run here because of the type of team they have. And it just felt like 2025 upset all over again.
Yeah, I'm sitting there saying like, yo, do something different, right? Like, let's bunt with the guy, get the guy over to third base, right? Let's try to get a sac fly. And I know that that's not what baseball is anymore. And I know that that's not how managers are thinking about how we should be operating. They want, let's get a base hit. And now, we keep the line moving. But it was just it was really, really pitiful to watch, right? That game 2 that we're gonna talk about, again, the Mets scored 0 runs in that game. It was, again, just a difficult game to watch in terms of offensively. But let's dive into, like, the big takeaways of that series. We gotta start with the starting pitching. The starting pitching was excellent. We had that first game with Clay Holmes. He went 5 and 2/3, right, letting up 2 earned runs. He looked great in that game. You had Senga in the following game. He went 6 innings. Yes, Kodai Senga, in his first start of the year, he went 6 innings. He also let up 2 earned runs in that game, but if you really, like, were watching that and you took a look back on that, there was a misplay by Luis Robert in center field. The ball winds up going over his head, and technically those are earned runs, but really for Senga, he was so dominant. He probably could have gotten out of that start with 0 earned runs. And then you had Freddie Peralta throw in that final game where he throws 5 and a third. He lets up only 1 earned run. Now, Freddie was a little bit shakier than the other two. In that last inning, Freddie had to really work. In that 5th inning, and then he gets through a third of that inning, but he had runners on. That's when they bring in Brazoban. Brazoban winds up letting up a base hit, where they believe it was to Brandon Donovan, and they wound up scoring like that's how they got the earned run off of Freddie. But overall the starting pitching was great, and we'll dive into the bullpen. But I gotta say, like, overall, the Mets starting pitching to begin this year has been excellent. You're talking about the Mets in all of baseball. They are first in innings pitch, they are 4th in ERA, and they are 5th in WAR. This is a complete opposite of what we saw at the end of last year, to a point where every Met fan was screaming, right, that we need to change the starting pitching. We cannot go into next year with what we have. Stefan, what do we think about the starting pitching so far?
Dude, it scares me, honestly. It scares me, honestly, because like you said, it's the opposite of the end of 2025, but it's not the
Yeah.
opposite of the beginning of 2025. And that's what I like. It's hard as a Met fan to get excited by this team because we were the best team in baseball with one of the best pitching in baseball at the beginning of 2025. And then we can see that it all fades away. So, like, at what point as a Met fan do you say, wow, my team is actually good? Wow, my team is like a really, really solid team. Watching those guys pitch over the course of the beginning of the season to now, it's great baseball. I'm having a whole lot of fun. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, in June, are we going to fall apart? Is some type of injury going to derail the New York Mets season? And, like, I know you can't think like that, Met fans, but it's hard not to think like that because we've seen it happen, right? We watched ourselves be the best team in baseball and then fade away completely to the point where we don't even make the playoffs.
I totally hear you, and it's a fair statement to make. But can I just say, though, that this rotation is different than last year's rotation, right? Last year's rotation, when I'm watching the Mets, I'm thinking to myself, this is not sustainable, right? Like, I was like, there's no way that Griffin Canning and Tyler McGill are going to help the Mets lead baseball in starting pitching. And that's how I felt like going into last year. And that's how I felt like even when it was happening and the Mets were so successful for the first, whatever it was, 6 weeks of the season with our starting pitching, I didn't think that it was legit. This year, though, you have Freddie Peralta and you have Nolan McLean that are basically your 1-2. And so when you're saying to yourself, like, is this sustainable? Is this possible? Can we actually, like, do this? It's different. If you have Freddie Peralta and you have Nolan McLean that are now headlining your starting rotation, I have a lot more confidence, barring injuries, that the Mets can actually sustain what's going on right now in this rotation.
Yeah, man, I hope so. And there's a lot of guys waiting in the wings to jump in if the Mets need them. Hopefully, they don't actually ever need those guys to do that.
Yeah.
I want to be excited. I want to. And at some point, that fear that it's all going to fall apart will hopefully fade away, but it's always going to be there in the back of your mind as a Met fan. That's what life is like for us, man.
Nah, for sure, for sure. So again, some positives in this Cardinals series, the bullpen. Another big bright spot, Tobias Myers. And I know that he's not the sexy name, but man, this dude, he's legit. He's really good. Every single time he comes into the game, I feel like I have confidence that he is going to pitch the way he needs to pitch, right? And they're using him right now in this, like, short relief role where it's a kind of an extended role where he's throwing maybe like 1 1/3 or 1 2/3, maybe 2 innings. So he's not like a true piggyback. It's not like the Mets are saying, okay, he's going to pair up with Holmes, and Holmes gonna give us the first 5 or first 6, and then we're gonna have Myers then finish off this game. They're really using him as a reliever at this point, where they're kind of saying, "Hey, we need to fulfill a couple of innings here. Let's use Tobias Myers." And every single time he comes on this mound, he does a great job. Now he winds up taking a really bad loss in this series with that last game that we were referring to before, where the Mets couldn't score in the ninth, 10th, and 11th. Tobias Myers comes in, he throws a clean 10th inning. The 11th inning starts off, he gets an out, and then it's a blue pit to right field that, I don't know if Carson Benz got a bad jump on it, but it was a bloop that was up there for a while. I really thought that either Simeon was going to get it or Carson Benz was going to get it, and the ball winds up dropping in front of Benz as he's diving for it, and that's how the Mets wind up losing that game 2-1. But Tobias Myers gets saddled with that loss, which is ridiculous. Again, not his fault that the Manfred rule, you got a runner on second base, no out. But again, he does his job, right? He get through that 10th inning, and then he again starts that 11th inning, gets an out, and then this little little blooper to right field winds up scoring a run against him, which is not his fault. So, again, Tobias Myers looks great. Devin Williams, I referred to this before. He got the first save of his Mets career, okay, on that Monday night, that 4-2 victory. He then threw another scoreless inning on Wednesday. He wound up coming in the bottom of the ninth of that game. No runner on second base in that scenario, but that's a game that the Mets went to extras and lost it. And Brooks Raley. Brooks Raley just doesn't let up runs. He's so dominant right now. And he's been dominant for the better part of a year at this point, since he's been back from Tommy John surgery. The biggest qualm or the biggest negative of Brooks Raley is essentially he doesn't throw on back-to-back days. And the Mets have said, Brooks Raley throws this day, we're giving him an off day. And to be honest with you, I'll take it because he's been so good. He's been that good that I will take this reliever that cannot throw back-to-back days because of how good Brooks Raley has been.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets bullpen is legitimately something that's impressive to watch. Tobias Myers specifically, I have this dude on both of my fantasy teams, right? Like, and we have
I don't
Holmes in our
blame you.
fantasy league.
I don't blame
Which is why obviously I have a non-closer reliever, is because of that whole statistic. But this is a guy who's going to come in twice a week for the New York Mets. He's another one of those guys like Brooks Raley that's not going to pitch every single day, which is fine when you have a bunch of guys like that are going to carry the game through. So Brooks Raley's a one-inning guy for sure. Tobias Myers, Sean Manaea, Oscar Brazaban, those are
you. Yeah.
all guys that are throwing multiple innings every time they come into the game. And I think the Mets are finally having like a solid system that's locked down. You address the piggyback. It's not really a piggyback, but it's not really a piggyback because the starting pitching's been so good, right?
Yep.
When your starting pitching's going 6, you don't need a guy to go 4. Right? Like the starting pitching goes 6 1/3, 6 innings. These guys now come in and they can carry you through for 3 innings. And, if you throw someone in the middle of their 2 innings for these guys is the minimum that you're asking them to go out there and pitch. You don't need the full 5 inning, 4 inning tag team piggyback or whatever you're going to call it. And I think the reason why we haven't seen the Sean Manaea or Tobias Myers in a traditional piggyback is because the starting rotation's been so solid.
Yeah, no doubt. I didn't even address Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver's been great as well. He hasn't let up a run all season. That includes even this Giants series that you're going to get to. The bullpen has just been awesome, right? Essentially right now, who we don't trust, Luis Garcia and Dickie Lovelady. When those guys are coming into the game, it's pretty much mop up. All right. And so that's where we're at right now with the bullpen. So far,
That's what we
all good.
want. You don't need
Yeah.
Dickie Lovelady throwing meaningful innings here. If he's in the game, it's to mop up. And we had a couple of games where Carlos Mendoza was in question because he's throwing that guy in a spot that matters.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's get to the offense in this series. The offense was terrible. I'm going to be really quick with it. It was dreadful. We scored 5 runs in total in 3 games against the Cardinals, and somehow we won a game, right? Like when I look at those statistics and I say, okay, Stefan, we're going to score 5 runs in the series, a 3-game series. How many games do you think that we're going to win there? You're going to be lucky to pull out one of those wins. The fact that we were in every single game, and the fact that we lost that heartbreaker on that Wednesday and that 2-1 in an extra inning game, and we were still in it, is just how much credit the starting pitching and the relievers need to get for this series. Some of the things, Marcus Simeon, oh my goodness. I again, we're recapping from the week that was. And so Marcus Simeon was 0 for 18 in that Cardinal series, including the Sunday game against Pittsburgh. He's been dreadful. The Mets offensively, the 3-game losing streak with the 2 against the Cardinals and then that series opener against the Giants, which again, I know you're going to address, the Mets were hitting 134 as a team, and they went 0 for 18 with runners in scoring position. I'm sorry, let me repeat that. 134 as a team and 0 for 18 with runners in scoring position. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's 2025 all over again. That's what that Cardinals series felt like.
Oh my God. Like I was angry watching those games. I was like, come on, this can't be real right now. We seriously cannot score a run. We're 0 for 18 with runs in scoring position. I can't even highlight guys. Like I want to. I want to say Juan Soto hit his first home run. That was cool, right? No, I'm not giving anyone credit right now for the on the offensive side. I can't even say anything about like what the Mets did offensively. I want to highlight the starting pitching. I want to highlight the relievers. I want to move on from the series because it was a bad one. We lost 2 of 3. We should not have lost 2 of 3 against the Cardinals. And I know it's just, yo, Justin, it's the first week of the series, right? No big deal. I just hope that we don't miss something by 1 game. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say to you, Stefan, is because this was a bad series loss, especially that Wednesday game in which the Mets, they could not scratch a run across for those 3 innings. It was pretty brutal to watch. So it is what it is. You know, not great overall, but we got through it, and we'll get into this Giants series, and I think Met fans are going to feel a lot better after a series recap of that one.
Well, that honestly is one of the benefits of us doing a podcast a week apart from the last game. Is like there's going to be some lows, which the Cardinals
Yeah.
series in its entirety was a low.
Oh
But then
man.
this Giants series was a huge high, right? And it was a huge high. There'll be individual guys who will say like, you get the game ball for this game, you get the game ball for this game. But the guy who gets the game ball for the entire the entire Giants series here, let's give him the clap that he deserves here. Mark Vientos, right? This is a guy that everybody was ready to get rid of. The guy whose bobblehead I refuse to get rid of. I wish I had it with me. I'd be tapping his head. He'd be bobbling right now. Mark Vientos is absolutely the guy who gets the game ball for this series. Carlos Mendoza, through necessity, was forced to play Mark Vientos. Polanco's not feeling great. He's not in the lineup every single day. You're trying to give other guys days off. You're trying to give Brett Baty opportunities to play right field. And by necessity, Mark Vientos gets himself into the DH spot, into some first base reps, and he took full advantage of it to the point where Carlos Mendoza cannot not play Mark Vientos. He has to be in the lineup every single day because I got to the end of this series, and I was going to talk about it later on, but I got to the end of this series where on Sunday I'm waiting, I'm watching the game, but I'm like, when is Mark Vientos going to bat next? And that is the guy who in 2024 this New York Mets team was carried by for a long period of time, and we watched him do it again. This is a guy whose offensive production, when he's right, can be Pete Alonso, right? Like he can hit 30 home runs. He can drive in 100 RBIs if given the opportunity to do it and if he's right. If he goes into a slump, we saw a year-long slump from this dude where nobody wanted to watch him hit again.
Yeah.
This is the Mark Vientos we should get excited about, Met fans. He's going to get an opportunity to play regularly now. And that's, unfortunately because of some injuries from guys like Polanco and now Juan Soto. But Mark Vientos has to do exactly what he did in this Cardinal series as we get back home to New York. He needs to take advantage of this opportunity and solidify himself as the guy who's in the lineup every single day.
Yeah, I mean, he's batting 470 on the season. Like, he's batting legitimately 470. And this isn't a sample of like 3 games. This is a sample now of like 6 or 7 games in which Mark Vientos it's clearly the best hitter right now for the New York Mets. You got Lindor going 0 for 10 right in the last like couple of games for the Mets. And you got Mark Vientos that is legitimately carrying this team offensively right now. And so, no doubt, Mark Vientos, he deserves this credit. We had to start with him to begin this series because we've crushed him. Mets fans have crushed him. The organization has crushed Mark Vientos. Like, let's call a spade here. It's not just us that has gone on Mark Vientos. To be honest with you, Stefan has been his biggest supporter, right, out of anyone. And so the fact that Mark Vientos is doing what he is doing, we got to give this guy full credit right now. And he had to start with the series opener against the Giants with Mark Vientos, and he deserves all that credit. So nice job by him. Let's keep the ball rolling with him because, like you said, Stefan, when he's bad, he could be bad. But man, when he is good, he can be damn good.
Yeah. Listen, let's start with the bet. Let's start with that first game against the Giants. David Peterson is on the mound, and I know that Peterson had a really good outing his first time through for the Mets. The Mets have the best starting rotation in all of baseball through the first week plus of the season. David Peterson was awful in this game. David Peterson looked like himself from 2025 second half, right? That's not the guy who is the ace of the Mets starting rotation. He ends up letting up 6 runs, 5 earned on 9 hits with 2 walks and 5 strikeouts in 4 1/3 innings. And that 4 1/3 innings was because Carlos Mendoza was like, dude, you're going to eat innings here because this game is out of reach at this point, and we need you to go out there for as long as you possibly can. Fine. Like, I got text messages in my Mets group chat from a bunch of guys. Somebody texted me and was like, I think it was Joey Bo texted me. It was like, yo, when is this going to stop? When are we going to have some mercy for David Peterson? Mendoza allows him to go out there for 4 1/3 innings. He gets destroyed out there by the Giants. And this team, now having lost those 2 games against the Cardinals where we really could have won those games, you see the Mets take a beating in this game versus David Peterson. So we at that point, the Mets, they went 0 for 3 in this game. You talked about runners in scoring position. They didn't have many opportunities. Robbie Ray shut down the New York Mets. He looked like Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray, while David Peterson looked like 2025 second half David Peterson. And that's not a good combination. The Mets went 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position, but they really had no chance against Robbie Ray. So we'll chalk up that
who he
first
didn't
game.
shut down? You know who he didn't shut down, Savon? Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos hit a home run against Robbie Ray in this game. Again, got to give a little shout out to your boy right now. Got to give a little shout out.
Fair. Listen, I got Mark Vientos littered throughout this recap here. So let's chalk up that bad game and get it out of the way. We'll put it there with the Cardinals series, and that's over. Because from that point forward, the next 3 games against the Giants, the Mets offense woke up. And, maybe that's because of the Juan Soto injury or whatever, that these guys get sparked and they're like, we got to pick things up here. But what really happens is Nolan McClain happens. When the Mets need a stopper, and that's what you define your ace as, right? Like, we talk about the guy who throws like all of shutout innings and all of this stuff, can throw 6-7 innings in a game regularly for you. Nolan McClain is all of that. But what a true ace is, in my opinion, is a stopper. When your team needs someone to go in there and win you a game because you've lost 3 in a row, you throw your ace. Nolan McClain was that guy for the New York Mets. And he was brilliant, dude. Like, I'm watching this game and slowly you start to realize what's happening in this game. You get to the 5-inning mark and you realize that Nolan McClain is utter brilliance. He's throwing a perfect game through 5 innings. And I'm watching it before my eyes and thinking to myself, is this possible? Could this actually happen? And obviously the answer is no. We can't have good things as Met fans. Yeah. He threw a ton of pitches also in the game, a lot of 3-2 counts. So he wasn't going to go 9, but Nolan McClain was exactly what the Mets needed on this day. He ends up throwing, 5 1/3 innings, right? Because he goes back out there for the 6th inning. He gives up 2 walks right away, gets an out on a fly ball, and then he gives up a ground rule double, which ends up scoring a run. The only hit that Nolan McClain gives up on the day ends up plating a run for the Mets. But the offense for this team, I'll pause there. I'll let you talk, just reacting to Nolan and his outing.
No, yeah, I was going to say, in terms of like when you're watching that game, like he was perfect, but he fell behind in a lot of those like counts. He was 3-1. He was again 2-1 in a lot of those counts. And so his pitch count was driven up so much that there was just no way that he was ever going to be able to finish out 9 innings in terms of the perfect game. They interviewed Nolan McClain and he said I didn't even know I was perfect or something like that. Like I didn't realize that even after the start. But like you just said, what McClain did is what the Mets missed last year. We just talked a second ago about the starting pitching and how we're nervous. Like, is this going to happen again? The Mets didn't have Nolan McClain for, 7/8 of the season last year, right? He only threw 8 starts last year. But the Mets didn't have this guy when the Mets were, I don't want to say they're bleeding, but to start having 3-game losing streak out of the first 6 games, that's not what you want to see as a Met fan here. And so the fact that you had that Nolan McClain come in there and he was able to shut down the Giants and give this offense a little bit of a breather, because I think that's what the important part was. You just referenced the runners in scoring position. The Mets overall were 0 for 18 at that point going into this game with Nolan McClain. And the fact that he was able to get through 5 innings, not letting up a run, gives this offense just a moment to take a reset, a break, and then obviously we saw an offensive explosion going on in this game.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. For the next 3 days in the rest of this Giants series, the Mets put up 3 consecutive games of 12 hits or more, which, like, that's gonna build for a fantastic offensive production for this team. In this game, the Nolan McLean game, it's the game that Juan Soto gets injured.
Yeah.
There are 4 guys who break out in this game, and Mark Vientos had been breaking out. He continues that offensive surge that we're looking for. But really what needed to happen here, Marcus Semien breaks out, right? We had been watching Marcus Semien struggle. Met fans are like, why is this guy in the lineup every single day?
Yeah.
Just play Brett Baty at second base. Why did we sit Brett Baty to begin with? Marcus Semien needs to be out of this lineup. He finally gets his first extra base hit of the season, because the opening day extra base hit really was an error.
It was
That's
a
not
blooper. It
charged
was a
as an error.
blooper to
Yeah.
center field. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, I can't even give him credit for that, but whatever. The stat book says he had a double on that day. He gets a hit in that game. He then drives a ball to straightaway center field, 400 and how many ever feet to straightaway center field for a home run. And that is the guy that if you could put the bat on the ball like that and drive the ball that way still, there's something in there that can be unlocked with Marcus Semien. So his defense isn't all we can look forward to, Met fans. We finally start to see him put the bat on the ball, and that continues throughout this series. Francisco Alvarez, right? Like, this is the guy batting 9 for the New York Mets. Hits 2 dingers in this game. And so, very quietly, Francisco Alvarez is up there with team home runs. Sid might be right when we look back at the end of the day, especially if this Juan Soto injury is something that nags him and holds him back, where Francisco Alvarez could very well end up being a guy who leads this team in home runs. I still don't think so, Sid. I still don't think that's going to end up happening, because he's going to have a ton of off days as a catcher unless the Mets find a way to get him in there at DH. But Alvy, the raw power of this kid, it can't be dismissed, right? If he was in the lineup every single day and can stay healthy, he's going to hit 30 home.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It was really nice to see Marcus Semien break out, and Alvy. I mean, this guy, like, when he swings, he goes for it. Like, when you're
Yeah.
watching this guy, when you're watching this guy at the plate, he's not someone that's like looking to like just hit a little bleeder to right field. This guy's like, yo, I'm seeing a pitch that I think I can drive, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And so, he hits those 2 home runs. Okay, one of them again was a shot to left field. The other one again straightaway center, I believe, right? Was the other guy?
Yeah.
Okay, just like Marcus Semien. Okay, and we're gonna see later on Tyrone Taylor doing the same exact thing. Which again, when you think about Giants like ball field, it's a huge field, especially the center field where those guys were hitting it. It's like right at that like merge and that corner. And it's a shot to get out there. Okay, so it was really nice to see this offense like finally take a step forward, and then Bo Bichette also, right? Like, we got to give this man props. We've been crushing him. Bo Bichette in that Cardinals series, he hit the ball hard a lot. He was very unlucky with a lot of those but we saw that, in this series, some of those actually coming in for base hits over here.
Yeah, so he did get a couple of hits in that Cardinals series. He really broke out in this game, though. He got 3 hits in this game. He continues to hit in the next day. The Sunday game, Bo Bichette actually takes an offer. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But the breakout has started to happen. Hopefully he can parlay this into a positive homestand and get Met fans back on his side. Let's jump to game 3, right? So, like, the offense continues in game 3. The pitching continues in game 3. Clay Holmes is on the hill for the Mets in this one. Clay Holmes dominates for 7 innings. He becomes the first Met pitcher to go out there and throw 7 innings. He gives up 3 hits of shutout ball. And this is a guy who no one believed in last year, right? Said that this guy's not a starter. He's a starter, Met fans, right? After built up last year, the first guy in this New York Met bullpen. Like, you got all your aces. Freddie Peralta, Nolan McLean, Kodai Senga, those are all the aces of this team. But Clay Holmes becomes the first pitcher to throw 7 innings, and it's in shutout fashion where he gives up 3 hits. Not a lot of strikeouts from Clay. I get like 2 or 3 strikeouts in 7 innings. He doesn't need to have strikeouts. Everybody doesn't need to be the 99 gas it by you guy. Clay Holmes went out there, did his job. He had guys put the ball in play, trusted his solid defense behind him to go out there and make those plays, and they did exactly that.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, if there was a playoff series going on right now, Clay Holmes is one of the starting pitchers that I would want in that series. He is one of, I think, our best 3 starting pitchers on this team. And I know Senga has looked really good. No, excuse me. Clay Holmes has been awesome, and he was awesome last year. I know he didn't get as much credit as he deserved. He finished in the top 10 in ERA in the National League at all starting pitchers. And he's only talked about how he's gotten a lot stronger in the offseason, how he really like understands how to be a starting pitcher. He looks great already. He looked good in the World Baseball Classic. He's looked good to start this season. Clay Holmes has been more than what I think David Stearns ever could imagine from this guy when he signed him as a starting pitcher.
And you know what's happening at the end of this season? He's opting out. That's what's happening at
Oh
the end
yeah,
of
for
this
sure.
season. Just
Yeah,
like 90% of this team is going to opt out.
I know he's got a player option after this year, so that I agree, man. He's gonna get paid, and he deserves it though, right? Like
Yeah, he
he really does. He bet on himself. Hey, I can do this, and he looks great. And so I'm happy to have him this year. Let's continue to ride Clay Holmes and ride the good waves with him. I feel like he's never a guy that when he's going out, he lets up those like 6 earned runs, right? And again, I'm gonna knock on wood over here. I really hope that doesn't happen. I feel like we don't see what happened to David Peterson happen to Clay Holmes. He might get knocked around for like 3 runs, even 4 earned runs, but you don't see him really lose it on the mound to a point where I got to pull this guy after like 2 1/3 or something like that. So
yeah.
it's really he's been a revelation for sure.
Yeah, so he's fantastic in this game. The offense is fantastic in this game. Bichette gets 2 more hits. Marcus Simeon gets 2 more hits. Our boy Mark Vientos goes out there. He gets 3 hits on the day. Tyrone Taylor, maybe we can call it the Tyrone Taylor game. Really, it's the Clay Holmes game. He comes in, right? So Tyrone Taylor comes into this game and hits a 3-run pinch hit home run, which is
Crazy.
super nice to see. Straightaway center field. And then he tacks on an RBI single in the 7th. So Tyrone Taylor has 4 RBIs to lead the team on this day. And so, this guy who's relegated right now to like being the 4th outfielder on this team, 5th outfielder maybe on this team, because for whatever reason, and we'll talk about it, Jared Young, he seems to be ahead of him. And maybe I'm wrong on Jared Young here. We'll get to him. But Tyrone Taylor is now the 4th, 5th outfielder on this team, and he shows you, a little bit of pop, and we know how good he is defensively when he's out there. This game altogether, really nice to see for the Mets. A 10-0 shutout victory for the Mets,
Beautiful.
changing all the vibes of that Cardinals series around. We're now firing on all cylinders here, and
Yeah.
and it's without Juan Soto, right? Without Juan Soto in the lineup.
Yeah, it literally doesn't make any sense. Like I'm watching this and I'm like, why is it when your best player and someone who's been producing? It's not like Juan Soto, your best player, is also not producing. Juan Soto's batting 330 on the year right now. Like he's hitting the ball well, and he is driving runs in. He's moving the line. It just doesn't make any sense. But whatever it is, that's baseball, right? And I'll take it. A 10-0 victory. This is back-to-back games, as you just mentioned before, where the Mets offense looks like a different offense than what we just saw over the last week or so.
Yeah. So let's jump into it. Now we're here at Sunday, guys. It took us 40 minutes to get here, but we're here at Sunday. Kodai Senga is on the mound, and Kodai Senga looks really, really strong through the first 5 innings of this game. 4 1/3 no-hit innings for Kodai Senga to start, right? Like I feel like we're saying stuff like that. No-hit innings, perfect games. Kodai Senga's out there doing the same thing. He looks really, really strong. He ends up throwing 5 innings. After that, that he gets that first out in the 5th inning. He starts to look a little shaky, right? He starts to look like he's coming back down to earth. So I said 4 1/3 no-hit innings. He ends up giving up 5 hits altogether on the afternoon, or is it 7 hits? I think again,
I would
7 hits.
I would have
5 hits,
I can
2
look back.
walks. 7 base runners end up with Kodai Senga in just the last inning and a third for him while he's out there. We see his fastball velocity drop from, at the beginning of the year, spring training, he's throwing 98, 99 miles an hour. In this game, he was throwing more like 94, 95 by the end of the game. So we saw him start to tire, and we saw the Giants start to put the bat on the ball against him. The Giants end up going up in this game against the Mets, and then the offense again comes through in a big way. Mark Vientos continues leading the offense. 2 more hits in this game, including a huge RBI. Like I said before, forcing Carlos Mendoza here after this series to keep him in the lineup. But this game really, I want to give credit to Mark Vientos. I want to say, he gets the game ball. It's for the series because of how his offense was all series long. This game really needs to be the Jared Young, Luis Torrens game. And I got to give credit where it's due. I'm the first guy, when Jared Young got first called up to the Mets last year, and then every single moment since then that he's been on this roster, my question has been, what in the world does this guy have over Carlos Mendoza or David Stearns? Like, what is the reason why he's on this team? He's not powerful. He's not a good defender. He doesn't put the bat on the ball. This guy is wasting a roster spot. And I have eaten my words in this game. Offensively, He has 3 hits in this game. He gets 3 at bats, gets 3 hits in this game. He looked fantastic out in the field. He has an outfield assist where he plays the ball really well, nails a runner over at second base. So I got to give credit here to Jared Young where it's due.
All right. Yes. Jared Young, he definitely on the box score was 3 for 3. However, 2 of those hits, I don't actually necessarily know if those were like going to actually be hits. He gets jammed on one of them in his second hit, in which the ball just gets dunked over into right field. And then the ball he
His
hits then
bat
to
split in half, and he
split.
still
That's what I mean.
muscled the ball over into first baseman's
Yeah,
head.
no, it's shattered. And then the ball to left field, it was a pop-up. The left fielder gets turned around. He's like almost falling over himself, and somehow the ball then lands like right over his shoulder, left field, his third hit. So like I hear you. I want to give this guy credit. The box score says 3 for 3, but I have seen guys hit the ball hard 3 times and getting 3 outs where Jared Young probably his like exit velo is probably like 89 or like 80 miles per hour on a couple of those hits, and they wound up like jumping, falling in for base hits over here. And so listen, Jared Young, I give him credit. That play he had over though in left field where he gunned down that runner at second base was sick. So I can't, I'm not gonna crush this guy, but yeah, he has done well since since he has gotten a couple more playing time. Jared Young has looked like a professional baseballer, right? Like that is no doubter. I'm not trying to dismiss this guy. He's definitely legit. He should be on this team. He's not someone that I'm like, yo, what's going on with this guy? Jared Young, he's played better than Carson Bench. Let's call a spade here, right? Like I know Carson Bench is a rookie. We haven't really gotten to him. He has struggled immensely, but Jared Young has done a nice job since he is filled in for sure.
I'm with you. The shattered bat. I'm gonna say if the bat doesn't shatter, he laces that ball. Right, like it's got to go. The exit velo on that would have been a lot higher. I think he crushes that
Yeah.
ball, so maybe he goes 2 for 3. But
Yeah.
then he gets hit for. So Carlos Mendoza, not afraid, doesn't take the guy who's 3 for 3 and say like I got to give him another at bat. He actually pinch hits with Torrens, which I'm shocked by that he makes a decision to do that early in the game. But I think he saw a clutch moment building and said, Luis Torrens is absolutely a clutch hitter. I'm going to go to him here. I'm going to drop the DH. I'm going to move things around. The Mets have a starting pitcher who might get to bat. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But he ends up going to Luis Torrens here, and Torrens rewards him. He ends up getting a huge base hit here for the Mets, which puts the Mets up 2-1. Right, so the Mets right now, I'm sorry, 3-2. The Mets are losing 2-1 at this moment. He delivers a double, plates 2 runs, and the Mets take a 3-2 lead. And Luis Torrens, Gary Cohen on the broadcast as I'm listening to it says this statistic, and I immediately write it down so I can bring it here and say it to you guys. He is batting .352 as a pinch hitter.
Crazy.
52. So when you're thinking to yourself, why would Carlos Mendoza risk bringing in his guy, the backup catcher? If someone gets injured, it's too early in the game to do that. It's really not, right? It's the 8th inning at this point. You can trust that hopefully we can get through this game. But that's why this guy is clutch. If you think about who's a clutch hitter on this team, your backup catcher is clutch. 52 is a pinch hitter. Pinch hitting is not an easy task for anyone to go out there and do. Luis Torrens does it better than most.
Yeah, and I mean, that series of events that took place, you had Luis Robert like stealing second base. He was gunned out at second base. He winds up like having this like 6 slide where he swim move. So for our listening audience, we're trying to like demonstrate like what the swim move looks like. But so he has a swim move, right, where he gets around, and now we have second and third, 1 out. Luis Torrens, he winds up like working a 3-2 count, and then he drives the ball to right field, like down the line, which he gets a double, and then the Mets play 2 there. But I will say here's what I like the most about this. I'm listening to Torrens in the post-game interview, and he said that Carlos Mendoza went to him and said to him, hey, if there's a big spot and a lefty is coming into this game, I am going to pinch hit for you. You are going to be the guy that I'm going to use. And Torrens referenced that and talked about how he was in the dugout. He wound up going down to the batting cages, working on it against like the left-handed like pitching right down there that they have. And he talked about how it was nice to like have a mental preparation of him saying, hey, I might get in this game as a pinch hitter, and I know what my role is going to be when I do get into this game at that point. And I will say what was really nice to see was that during the Cardinals series, and again, like I hate to go back to this Cardinals series, but I have to. There was a moment in which the Mets decided to use Carson Bench as a pinch hitter. Okay, Jojo Romero, who was a lefty in the St. Louis bullpen, one of the best like relievers that the Cardinals have, and he's really good against left-handed pitching. Left-handed hitting. He winds up They wound up pinch hitting Carson Bench for, I forget who it was in that moment. And of course, the Cardinals, like right away, all right, let's bring in Jojo Romero against Carson Bench. Carson Bench, of course, strikes out in that scenario. And I bring this up because in this scenario, you have Jared Young, the left-handed hitter. The Giants then go to the lefty, and then Mendoza's able to then bring in the right-handed hitter in Luis Torrens in this scenario. Whereas in the other one, like, it was the most obvious thing that was going to happen. Hey, when you pinch hit for Carson Bench, the lefty is going to come in. Don't do that. You're going to put him in a really tough spot. And so it was nice to see Mendoza putting his guys in positions that he believes are going to make them successful, and Luis Torrens pulled up for it. So it was really nice
Yeah,
to see. So nice job by Mendoza there.
yeah, I mean, it speaks to the Mets being prepared, which has been talked
Yeah.
about, right, on talk shows, sports talk shows over the last couple of days. The Mets look unprepared. They look sloppy. The Mets look prepared in this Giants series. Let's not skip over this. Luis Robert has been one of the best offensive players for this New York Mets team all season long, and I know all season is only a week, but all season long, Luis Robert has been there for the Mets. He picks up 3 more hits on Sunday. He's now batting .333 on the season. And what's, I think, really important, and you mentioned it on the swim move, that's his second stolen base of the season. So this guy using his legs in a productive way and stealing bases for the Mets, we know he's capable of being a 30 stolen base guy. We get to see him running on this play, and he's almost out on the play. He probably should be out, but his acumen, his knowledge to be able to slide around that tag, he's exciting to watch play, man. I'm super excited when he gets up there to bat. And I started off the season saying, bat him 9, take the pressure off of him. He'll be protected by Lindor and Juan Soto. Really, he's doing a really great job protecting the top of the order batting in the 4 and 5 hole. So I'm excited. Mendoza was right. I'll give him full credit here. Robert is a guy that needs to be in the middle of this lineup.
Yeah, no doubt. And so, yeah, overall, the Mets in this series, right, they go 17 for 40 with runners in scoring position. We just talked about how the Mets went 0 for 18 in the previous series. And so the fact that we're 17 for 40, that's a 400 average. It was an onslaught, and it was really, honestly, we needed it. We needed it as Met fans. The Mets players needed it. The last thing you want to hear is a whole bunch of guys and media coming at you. You guys can't hit with runners in scoring position, blah, 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 blah. So these are the types of things that the Mets, I think, relaxes them. They're able to go into, their homestand now, not having to think about runners in scoring position.
Yeah. It's not the narrative that's out there that then compounds upon itself. So it's nice to see the offensive breakthrough, but it wasn't all roses for the Mets, right? We can't come on here and just hype the Mets up and be champions of this offense. We got to talk about the negative as well. Francisco Lindor is 0 for 10 in this series, right? In the last 2 games of this series. He looks terrible at the plate right now. We know that Francisco Lindor is a slow starter. This has been spoken about with Lindor. Obviously, the hamate bone is another reason why we can say, like, maybe he's not feeling it right now. But Francisco Lindor being 0 for 10 at the end of this series is not a great sign for us. Is this something we should be worried about, Justin?
No, because he does this every single year, Lindor. He gets off the slow starts, and then by the end of the year, you look at his stats, and he's a 30-30 guy every single time. It's not the hamate bone, right? You got Corbin Carroll. He's got a 900 OPS. He had the same exact surgery on the same exact day with the same exact timeline as Lindor. It's just Lindor. For whatever reason, this guy gets off to terrible starts. And I'm not talking like a couple of games. Like, this guy can go into May batting like 200, and then again, he's still going to get his 30-30. So I'm not worried about Lindor. I know he's going to get his, but it's nice to see that the Mets as an offensive unit, no Lindor and no Soto over the last couple of games, and the Mets offense has been clicking. So that's really nice to see.
Yeah, Bichette has been clicking throughout the road trip. He does go 0 for 4 in this game, as I mentioned before. But what's nice to see with Bichette is that he did have those couple of hits and did carry this team for a little bit, but he didn't strike out. Right, Bo Bichette is not a strikeout guy. That's the guy we thought we were getting. We saw in the homestand Bo Bichette strike out an exorbitant amount of time. It can't happen, and we didn't see him strike out at all in this game. And that 0 for 4, he puts the bat on the ball every single time. That's important to see with Bichette. And you mentioned Carson Bench, right? Like, he is batting 100 this season. The only bright spot with his offense is the fact that he's leading the team in stolen bases. He's stolen 4 bases so far this year. So every time he's getting on base, he's making it worthwhile. He's getting himself over to second base. But Justin, this kid, Are we doing damage at this point? Should we be worried about Carson Bench? Is it time to send him down? How long is the leash here?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, to be honest with you, and it really comes to the question of at what point do Mets players then start to say, yo, this kid doesn't deserve to be up here right now. We got to send him back down. He's hurting this team because you just kind of alluded to it before is that Mark Vientos has hit himself into a position where Mendoza has to play him. So if Juan Soto, again, let's come on, baby, come back for me. If Juan Soto, right, doesn't go on the IL, you now have him in left field. And then you have Brett Baty, Mark Vientos, and Polanco that are essentially sharing two spots that are three guys, but then you're using Carson Benj in right field every single day. And I think it's going to get to a point where guys are going to start questioning that. And so I know he's a rookie, and I'm not trying to say, yo, this guy stinks, send him down. But it's to a point where you have other guys on this team that deserve to get playing time that are not going to get playing time when you have this rookie that's really struggling. And so it's really going to be the Mets organization and the Mets brass to say, like, hey, it doesn't matter. We're going to ride them out for as long as possible because it is what it is. These guys get hot and cold, like it's all good. I'm just saying, like, from the Mets perspective, is like, how do you take out a Mark Vientos or a Polanco at this point? And if you do that, and then you have Benj in there, that might be hurting the team right now, and that's an issue for me, right? Like the goal is to chalk up wins throughout the year here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. The Carson Bench situation is something to keep our eyes on. Before we wrap up here, guys, I got to talk about this Met bullpen in the Giants series. We didn't address that at all. The bullpen, like in the Cardinals series, are phenomenal. If right now I'm squinting and looking really weird, the
Yeah, I
sun is
see the
rising
sun is
above this
just
building.
beaming at you.
Yeah, it's like literally coming up over this building right now, shining right into my face. Have to turn the hat around. You use a hat for what it's worth, Met fans. Got to use the bill, block the sun. So you might not see me looking right at you, but I'm definitely thinking about you. This bullpen looks phenomenal. And the reason it looks phenomenal in this series, I'm giving the full credit here to Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea does his job. He comes into that David Peterson game and does what the Mets need him to do. Does he look phenomenal while he's doing it? No. Sean Manaea throws 3 2/3 innings in that game. The Mets lose. That's totally fine. Here's why it's the most important thing that happens. The bullpen is completely saved on that day in a long stretch where the Mets are playing, 9 games in a row or whatever it is. The Mets have Sean Manaea coming in and saving the rest of the bullpen. The next day, you have access to all of these guys that you need. The Mets take full advantage of that. The day after that, Tobias Myers comes in and does exactly what he was supposed to do. He finishes out the Clay Holmes game, right? So he comes in and throws the final 2 innings after Clay goes 7, and he throws hitless ball for 2 innings, right? So Tobias Myers, again, making his impact felt for this New York Mets team, saves the bullpen so that in the Kodai Senga game on Sunday, you have every single other reliever that you need. All the top arms are available. Luke Weaver's available. Brooks Raley's available. And of course, Devin Williams is available. You have Huascar Brazaban is available. The Mets go out there and they use Brazaban, Weaver, and Dev to close out the Kodai Senga game. Brazaban gets the win. Luke Weaver gets a hold, and Devin Williams gets a save in this game, picking up his second save of the season. So the Mets bullpen, that's the way you want to see these guys firing, and that's how you can use Sean Manaea and Tobias Myers to keep this bullpen fresh throughout the series.
Yeah, listen, I hear you. Sean Manaea definitely did his job in that scenario. He still didn't look great, though. I know that he didn't, he only let up 1 run, but his stuff is just not there. He's not striking guys
He
out
got
like
him
he
up to
was.
90, Justin. He's touching
I
the
know.
90 mark.
Touch 90, right? Like I don't know what's going on with this guy. It's upsetting. And the fact that he's on this roster making $25 million this year and next year, it's like it's not going to hamstring us, right? Because Steve Cohen doesn't allow money to hamstring this roster. But it's just to a point where, this guy is eventually going to get pissed off. Like, hey, this is not what I'm meant to do. I'm not supposed to be in the reliever role. I'm not actually helping this team. And I don't know what's going to happen here, but something's going to come to a head here because I know that Mendoza on Sunday, like, tried giving credit, like, oh, Manaea, he was so great for us, right? He was able to eat up some of those innings, but that's not what Sean Manaea wants to do. Sean Manaea is not looking to just eat innings. He's not just someone that he's not a Dickie Love lady over here that we're like, yo, just throw him in there, right? The game's over. It doesn't matter. And that's essentially what Sean Manaea has become right now. And I can't imagine a guy being okay with that role, considering like what he was and what he thought he was going to be coming into this year. So we'll see what happens with Sean Manaea.
He has no grounds to stand on that hill. He's got to go out there and start throwing the ball the way that like, if you think you're this dominant starting pitcher who's supposed to be the leader of this starting rotation, that's what we hired you to do. You need to pitch like it, right? You're not
Yeah.
pitching like that. And so the Mets are using him in a role that's benefiting the team. So like I do like I mean what I say. I think what he did on that in that David Peterson game is extremely important for this team. I'm not being facetious when I say it.
No, I know.
He mopped up that game, and that's what we needed him to do. And he's pitching like a guy that should go out there and do that type of work. If he starts going out there for 2, 3 innings and he's dominating and he's throwing 92, 93, striking everybody out, or he's not letting guys on base because he can't control the ball, at that point we can revisit the conversation. But when you're pitching the way that you're pitching, you can't be upset with the role that you're in.
Yeah, again, from his perspective, is I'm going to show you my resume. I'm a veteran. I've proven it before in the major leagues that I can be successful. I know my stuff might not be like at the same caliber as it once was, but again, like Sean Manaea's ERA right now is not like 8. It's legit. It's fine. He actually has every single time he is thrown, he's not getting lit up at all. He's maybe not, like you said, like striking everyone out, but essentially Sean Manaea, when he has pitched, he's been pretty good. Again, I don't have the stats off the top of my head right now, but Sean Manaea's ERA right now is probably close to it's under 3, right? He hasn't like let up a whole bunch of runs since he's been in.
No, he has.
And so, yeah. So, again, like that's where my head's at, is that it's not necessarily like you being facetious. It's Sean Manaea saying like, yo, what's going on here, right? I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
I've proven it. I've done it before. I'm just not given the opportunity, and I should be given the opportunity. So we'll see, man.
Well,
It's one of the challenges that a manager faces in the major league, is that you're dealing with these big personalities and you're dealing with grown men who, it's not just like thanks so much for doing mop up duty. It's like, yo, I'm a competitor. I want to win, right? I think I can do this. These are the top elite athletes in the world who have done it for their entire lives and think that they always can still do it.
yeah, no, I'm with you, man. His ERA is 1.8 right now. He's pitching
Mhm.
well. I'm not saying that he's not. He went out there in that Giants game, 3 2/3 innings. He had 6 base runners.
Yeah.
Gave up 4 hits, 2 walks. The game before that against the Pirates, he pitched an inning and a third. He gave up a hit and 2 walks in that time. So he's not dominating by any stretch. When he starts
It's-
pitching better, like if David Peterson goes out there
Yeah,
and bombs
I was about
and
to
gives up
say.
7 runs in his next start, okay, fine.
Yeah.
You can revisit getting Sean Manaea into the rotation. But right
Right.
now, he's being beneficial to this team. And Sean Manaea is a professional, right? He right now he's saying all the right things. I'm going to help this team. I don't want to be doing that. I want to be a starter. Everybody wants to be a starter. Tobias Myers wants to be a starter too. He deserves it as well, right? Like we can't say that Sean Manaea, because he's making the money he's making, deserves to be bumped up over everybody else. I hear you.
No.
He's doing his job. He needs to keep doing his job. At some point or another, there will be an opportunity for him to start, but that moment isn't here right now. The Mets have the best starting rotation in all of baseball. 1 week into the season, we'll see where things go. And Sean Manaea is going to get his chance.
Yeah. I'm down on Peterson. So, that's kind of where I'm at right now. He really scares me. And so if it is going to be, barring injuries, right? I could see, like you just mentioned before, maybe it's a Peterson Manaea switch and Peterson's going into the bullpen, because we've seen him pitch out of the bullpen as well, and he's been successful before in the past. So maybe it's something like that. But overall, great series for the Mets. They take 3 or 4 from the Giants. I know every single Met fan that's listening to this podcast is sitting here saying it's so nice that we're not on the West Coast anymore, because it's so ridiculous, those games. Why on a Saturday night was the game starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time? Are you kidding me, Giants? Like, that's atrocious. It's Saturday. Give me a Saturday afternoon game like you did on Sunday. Like, come on, man. Like, give me a 4 o'clock start on the West Coast. Give me at least a 7 o'clock game starting on Saturday. It had to be at like 9, whatever it was, 9:15 start. The West Coast is the worst, right? Like, it is by far the worst. It's hard to keep up with the team. It's hard to like actually follow what's going on. And the fact that the Mets take 3 or 4 from the Giants, and most of those games started at 10 p.m. and 9 p.m., it's a total joke. It really pisses me off.
Listen, I got those recaps. The Mets have a West Coast series, I think, in their next 3 away stays.
Dodgers.
Away.
We go to the Yep. We fly back out to LA next week to face the Dodgers after this homestand. It's ridiculous, this schedule. Like, what
Yeah.
are you? Why did we
I'll
not
be up.
just
My
do
kids don't
Giants
sleep, so
Dodgers?
I'll be watching those games.
Oh my God. Yeah, I hear you, man. All right. So the series coming up, we got the Diamondbacks coming home. So the Mets have an off day on today, Monday. We're recording on this Monday morning. We have an off day today. We then have a homestand coming up starting Tuesday against the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are a 500 team. They're a solid ball club. They always have been. They're going to be right in the hunt of it, at the end of this year. They've missed the playoffs the last 2 years, but the Diamondbacks for whatever reason, they're always, solid team. On the pitching matchups, you have Tuesday, you got Freddie going against Zach Gallen, who's actually throwing the ball pretty well so far to start this year. You got our boy David Peterson right now against Ryan Nelson, who's been shelled.
Sean Manaea, be ready. Sean Manaea, be ready.
I hear you on that Wednesday.
Maybe we'll see a true piggyback that day.
No, yeah, that's when it would happen, right? So Sean Manaea, when did he throw? He threw in that Friday
day
game?
when Peterson threw.
Yeah, all right. So he'll have his full rest. Yeah, so I'm with you on that. Like, I guarantee that's what the Mets are saying to him right now. It's like, yo, Peterson, give us 4 innings. Manaea, give us 3, and then we'll take it from there. And then that Thursday game, we got Nolan McLean. That's a game I'm going to be at that game. I'm super excited for it. I gotta say, this guy Eduardo Rodriguez, he's been fantastic this year. He's thrown 12 innings, no earned runs. He was awesome in the World Baseball Classic too. So that's going to be a nice pitching matchup. Hopefully McLean can do what he did in their last start. Maybe he goes actual full perfect 9 innings in this one.
Justin, I think that Thursday game is going to be extremely important for the Meet the Mets Fans podcast. I'm going to be there. You're going to be there.
No way.
Yeah, man. I'm there as well.
Let's go. Just found out, right? We don't talk to each other enough. We had no idea both are going to the same game. That's awesome, man. Beautiful. 7:00 start, baby. Let's get it.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a great time.
Awesome.
All right, man. With that one, let's get this thing going. Back at home, let's start up against the Diamondbacks the way we finished against the Giants. Closing it out here, Justin. Let's put this one in the books.
If you haven't subscribed, you gotta like us, you gotta follow us, you gotta do all that stuff on social media. Give us a little bit of love over here. We're giving you as much love as we possibly can, as much content as we can pull out over here. So all we're looking for is a little double click, a little subscribe. Give us something juicy, please, Met fans, okay?
Yeah. Met fans, we might be going live the next time we're on here next Sunday. We're going to try to see if we can make it happen because we're going to be on with Master Flip. He's all over on social media. This guy does a tremendous job translating all of the Spanish content that comes out there, especially for New York Mets. So if you don't know who Master Flip is, follow him on X. He's going to come onto the podcast with us and do a fan episode. We'll hear his Mets origin story and how he became the social media presence that he is. So that's next Sunday for our week recap. We'll have Master Flip live on the pod with us.
Sick. Love it, man. That guy's awesome. Like, honestly, like following his stuff in the off season, he's legit, man. So, love it, Met fans. Let's keep it rolling over here. We had a nice series against the Giants. Hopefully we come home and take care of business.
Let's do it. Let's go Mets.
Go Mets.
Meet the Mets fans, voices rising up from the stands. Hear their cheers, hear their groans, feel their highs, feel their moans. Stories untold now on the mic. Mets fans unite.